Hey everybody, welcome back to the flight deck, and today we're doing another general aviation flight. And as you can see on the other side of the fuel truck, we got that British Airways Cessna 172 with Nick in the cockpit.
Hi everyone.
And we're in Vancouver, specifically Vancouver Island off the west coast of Canada. We're up in Port Hardy, which is on the northeast corner, and we are going to fly down the island, crossing over the center to the Pacific side, and we're heading into Tofino, which is on the west coast. So we flight up about an hour and 15 minutes or so. The weather, the live weather, low clouds, fog, and an absolute torrential downpour, which is kind of typical for the west coast of Canada. So we've set preset, put the clouds up to give it a little bit of atmosphere. It is live time, so it's currently 9:15 in the morning, I believe. So 10:15 in the morning, sorry. So we got a nice morning sunrise, and you can see the water in the bay and some of the hills off in the distance, looking very nice. So we're going to hop in the cockpit and we'll get the airplanes fired up, and then we'll taxi out for our takeoff. Alright, so we'll get the beacon light on, we'll get the masters on, and get rid of the joystick there. So, mixture's in, fuel tanks are on both, and cutoff is in. That's the prime. Okay, stop with the warnings. We will go, our beacon light is on, nav lights are on. And we'll get the engine up and running.
TOS system test. Okay.
There we go. Engine's up. Turn on the second screen over there. And we'll get everything up and going. First we'll have to turn on the avionics. Now with the second screen up. So we do have a flight plan programmed in, which will give us a rough guidance on where we want to go. We will be flying through some valleys, so we want to make sure that we can see what we're doing here. I am going to zoom out a little bit just so I can keep an eye on everything. We will set up our screen here. I'll turn off the inserts. We're going to go to the wind. Option 3 is the one I like. It's the arrow. Gives the heading of the wind, and the north winds are light out of the west. And we can go back and back. And we're going to turn the CDI over to the GPS. So we got 114 miles to go. We'll be flying at about 105, 110 knots, nautical miles. So that's about an hour and 15 minutes of flight time. So once again, we're in the 172 with the default Garmin 1000 setup. Alright, so taxi light is on. We're going to be going up to 5,000 feet today. That's to ensure that we can get through some of the mountains. We do have quite a bit of hills and stuff and valleys we'll be going through, so we're going to want to make sure that we get up to where we can do that safely, and the pressure is set. So Nick, you ready to go?
Yep, all ready.
Alright, so we're going to taxi to the right, and we're going to go down to on taxiway Alpha to the runway. Then we're going to make the left turn onto the runway, go down all the way down to the end. We're going to use runway 26 as our departure, which is, it's a 4,000 foot runway. Alright, so first notch of flaps. Everything is set up, so we'll get rid of the parking brake. We'll ignore Buddy on the little push cart there. And we will get moving. Just missed him. Oh, there's Nick over there, other side of the truck. So watch out for that radio antenna and light mast. So I've had a few people comment that they're really enjoying these general aviation streams and loving seeing areas of the world. So very much glad to do it. And if you have a recommendation or suggestion of an area you'd like to see and the type of flights we're doing here, do let me know. I am more than willing to fly in that area. We have a few coming up that I've already planned out, but as long as it can be done, I have no issue doing it. So we are on multiplayer, so there may be other aircraft in the area. Don't see anyone at the moment though. Alright, we're going to head down to the end. And while we're taxiing down here, I just want to say a thank you to Lucas Chillick, who latest channel subscriber from a couple, I think 2 days ago. I saw him, he'd subscribed, so good to have him here with us today. Quite paying attention there. Which is something I should be doing. Come back on the power a little bit. So Nick is flying his BA liveried 172. Obviously he flies for a BA virtual airline, and I'm flying my Fly UK Flying Club, which is from the virtual airline that I fly for. And I have been testing out the new 787 Heavy mod. Still got one or two things I'm waiting for them to implement, and then we may see it starting to appear on some streams and videos as well. So I'm going to go to the right side of the runway and then swing around and line up on the right. So let's get this thing spun around. There we go. Alright, so the engine is warmed up and we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do for altitude and obstacle clearance, Nick, is I'm going to do a right turn, and that'll take us out over the low ground and over the water before we head down on our path. It'll give us a little bit of time to gain some altitude, and then get away from the mountains before we have to deal with them.
No problem.
All right. Okay, you ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right, so here we go. So the secret with piston-driven aircraft like this is you don't want to just hammer the throttle down. You can damage the engine doing that. Basically, you should go from no power to full power over about a 4 to 5 second period, and just count it in your head. So it's a gradual increase of power to ease the shock on the engine. All right, brakes are off and coming up on the power. And we're rolling. So airspeed's alive. 55 knots, we'll pull back gently. She should just start climbing off the ground on her own. There she goes. And we are up. for the ease of flying here. Trim it off. Man, look at those trees. Keep the flaps out a little bit until we get a little bit more altitude above the ground. Try to keep about a 500 foot per minute climb. Now we'll start a turn. The autopilot on. We're in heavy mode. Going to vertical speed mode. Hold that 500 foot per minute. We'll come up on the flaps now. That'll allow our speed to increase. There's the airport right on the coast. So this is the inner passage between Vancouver Island and the mainland. We're just gonna keep letting her arc around as we climb. We are going up to 5,000 feet. See how beautiful this is here. Kind of do a circle back over the airport. So this area has a reputation for being very wet and rainy. And it is true, because what you have is the mountains, once you hit the main coast, are a break for the clouds. So the clouds will come in and hit them. They come off the moist Pacific, and then the mountain pushes the wind upwards. And of course, as wind rises and air mass rises, it cools. That lowers the condensation level, so all that moist air coming off the ocean rises up and it condenses and you get rain, which is why on the west side of the Rockies you've got the more temperate, drier prairies, and on the that's the east side, and then on the west coast, which is by the water, it's lush, almost tropical rainforest type of atmosphere and conditions there. So yes, you do get a lot of rain in Vancouver and on this side of the Rockies. But the Rockies are behind us. We're not. You can actually see them out the window there. A little bit of snow-covered caps on them. But we are heading down the island, and we're going to take a look at what we can see. So, we're going to turn a little bit to the eastwards here, southeast, and go a little bit more east. Again, we're using the nav as a guide. So we're coming up to the town of, let's see if we can see it at the window. Just off the nose there is the town of Port Mcneil. And then we're going to take a cut in on the bay on the other side there, and there's a valley and an inland lake we're going to follow. Should get some good views out that way. See a little bit of a haze off in the distance there ahead of us. There's Nick behind us, and there's the airport we took off at. And absolutely, once again, stunning Microsoft flight sim scenery. Got the diffusion through there. Looks like a little haze in the valleys there. That looks awesome. You usually see a lot of, well, not so much at the moment, but you usually get cruise ships coming up this way, and they'll run up the inside passage here, so you get these wonderful views of the water and the islands and then the mountains, the snow-capped mountains. So there's, you can just see the right side of the compass here. That's where we're headed, up that bay there. Passing 3,500 feet. Again, climbing up to about 5,000 feet. Glassy water. Reflections. Sorry, I can't hear you, Nick.
At least to say it's smooth if you like it, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. And one of the great things I like about flying in Canada is there's such a variety of terrain. Where I am in the central part of Canada, you've got the huge, what they call the Canadian Shield, which is a massive granite cap over this part of the world. So when you get an hour or two north of Toronto, it's nothing but trees and lakes and huge stone outcroppings. For the most part, that have been scarred by the glaciers in the last ice age. If you go to the east coast, it's a lot of bays and water and places like that. You go into the Midwest, you've got the prairies, a lot of flat ground, and then out here you've got the mountains and everything. So it is quite the assortment of terrain types you can play with. There again, off the coast, or on the coast, you've got the edge of the Rocky Mountains there. Of course, the Rockies run all the way from the North Arctic Circle, basically, all the way down into Mexico. Although towards that far south, they start to trail off and they're nowhere near as high, but they are there. So we're going to turn down this valley just when we get past the town of Port Mcneil here, and you can see the long thin lake that is Lake Nipkish. And we're going to be following it down to basically the end of the lake. So let's make our turn. Okay, we're leaving the straits here, heading inland on the island. And I think I'm getting pretty much up to altitude, so I'm going to pull the power back to a nice cruising power of, we'll go 2350. That way Nick's got a little bit of space to catch up if he wants. we go. There's a lot of little communities on the island here. A couple big ones. Of course, the capital of British Columbia is on the island. It's down at the southern tip in Victoria. But when you get up here, it's little fishing communities. I guess not so much fishing anymore, but back in the day. I just sit here looking at the view for a while. Just gonna edge the speed up a little bit to. There we go. See on the map here the lake we're going along. So when we get to the end of the lake, we're going to turn left. We're heading to a little town called Wasp. And once there, we're going to turn right and follow another lake. So, pretty scenic out this way. You can see a little bit of turbulence now coming into play. We're rocking around a little bit. So what you have is what's called mechanical turbulence. So as the air mass is slowly moving across the ground, which is what your wind is, it goes up and down over the terrain. And because we're this low to the ground, we're getting caught in those little up and down eddies. And you get the same thing over buildings and stuff as the wind works its way up and over and around buildings. You saw my turn, right?
Yep, yeah, I've done that.
Okay. And again, just some gorgeous scenery out here. So one of the things I like to do is if you ever go to a place and you want to get a really good look, somewhere with mountains and stuff, you know, be it the Alps or the Pyrenees or, you know, in Wales with the valleys and the mountains there, go to a small regional airport, see if they've got a flying school. Now most flying schools will offer either introductory flights or sightseeing flights with an instructor. And go up for a flight. You get an amazing view of the area you're in. If there's something specific you want to see, if it's possible, you can see it from the air. And it's a great way to see the ground. And that's something that I've been doing for a little while now. Is I'll just go to the local airport. If I'm there for a couple of days, maybe a day or two down the road, I'll arrange a flight. And just go up, see the ground or see the area from the sky, and enjoy the sights. You get a whole different perspective on it sometimes. And to fly over places like this, I mean, it's just an amazing view. And really, when it comes down to it, not that expensive. Looking back out of the valley, we're heading up. There's the lake. Town of Mcneil over there, slightly to the left. The Rocky Mountains across the way, and Nick hanging out in the back there. Grab a couple pictures here because it's hard not to. you'll see the river down here. That's on the left at the bottom of the lake. That's the river we're going to follow. And that's going to take us around to the left. Oh, snow-capped peaks here.
Yeah, just there on the right.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the Rockies clear of snow in the summer. I've been out there in June and I've seen snow on the highest peaks. I'm not sure if that goes away or not in July, August, but I guess we're high enough that quite a few peaks here have some snow on it. So you can see we're at 5,000 feet. We're pretty much at the height of some of these. Alright, so here's the little valley we're going to head down. Going to take us around towards the east in the little settlement of Wasp. There's a road down here somewhere. It's Highway 19. It's a main road that runs from the south of the island all the way up here. You can see it just under the left wing there. So driving up the island would be something to see as well. Pretty scenic. Again, great effects with the clouds. Different layers of clouds in the sky today. A lot of trails running up into the mountains as well.
Those what the white lines are on the hill.
Yeah, they're trails. There's a lot of hiking and paths and hunting camps and all kinds of stuff up here. So. Like the whole place is just covered in trails.
Yeah.
Never been on Vancouver Island. Closest I've been to, or furthest west I've been, is Vancouver City itself, which is on the mainland. But yeah, never made it to the island. A little bit of a different culture out here than the rest of Canada. A little bit more independent. It's almost a little bit more of a especially on the island, it's a bit more of a throwback to the 60s, 70s type of attitude.
Yeah.
But there's some wonderful, if you go into some of these port towns and stuff, some of the homes and the decorations and stuff. It's something else. It's not something you see anywhere else in the country. Follow the highway and the river down the valley here towards the east. I don't know if these trails are this pronounced in real life. Stunning views everywhere you look when you just rotate the camera around.
A few lakes and everything higher up. So just like
yeah. It seems like everywhere you've got a little, natural saddle in the mountains, you're going to get a little lake forming.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a heavily populated area. A lot of small towns. There's a couple medium-sized one, and then Victoria down at the bottom end is the big one. Everything else is like 1,000, 1,500 people or so, I think. So not a lot, but it is a beautiful part of the country. Gorgeous views out here, which is why I'm keeping the camera outside of the airplane right now. Just pick a direction and point it, and it's fantastic. So the town of Wasp is ahead. We're going to take this turn coming up, and we are going to head down this other lake here. This lake is well known as, and it's got a very creative name of Wasp Lake. And there's the airport right here. Charlie Alpha Kilo 4, little strip. You can see it down there beside the river. That's where we're going to fly to, and then we'll make the right turn. And we're going to head down over Wasp Lake. Flying like a seaplane up here, or float plane, in and out of these lakes.
Those stop off lakes.
That'd be pretty cool. There's the town of Wasp there, just off the left, going off the screen. You can see the end of the runway there. Here's Wasp Lake. Now, Nick, when you make the turn,
Yep.
I want you to look slightly to the right once you're lined up towards the lake. Look over the first set of mountains and you'll see some in the distance that are snow covered. And tell me if you see the ice blue.
Yep, I can see it from here.
Yeah. That's ice. Not snow, but ice up in the mountains there, and it's got that frozen watery blue look to it.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it, otherwise I would have thought it was a glitch in the scenery.
Yeah. At least that's what I'm assuming it is. I've seen stuff like that in real life, so I'm assuming that that's the glacial ice, which is a bluish color.
Yeah.
Seems to be settled into a little bit of a depression there, so I'm assuming it's ice. Haze in the valley there off to our left, which looks really cool. That's the direction of the sun, so that sun is causing the you get light diffraction off the particles in the air and you get that haze effect, which is, again, I keep saying it, but absolutely gorgeous. Now, I think if you look a little bit more to the right, see that pinky granite colored peak there?
Yep, got it.
I think that is Merlin Peak, which is the second highest summit on the northern part of the island. I think it's just slightly higher than these ones we're coming up to on our, which will be just to the right of our path. Sure I get down the valley here properly. So we're going to continue down straight above the lake. It's either that one or it's the high point in the snowy mountains here. I'm not sure which one it is. The thing I'm reading just says to your right, so it's not too obvious which one it is. So the lake ends down here, and there's no exit for the water at this end. The water, I guess, exits out the other end, or enters the other end if this is the result of inflow. But just across this ridge here, there's another river, and that one feeds down into the next lake, which technically is not a lake, because it empties out right into the ocean, like it is part of the ocean. So the area we're about to come up to, when we get to it, is an island. So it should actually be separated completely from from this island. But yeah, that looks really cool. So now we're basically halfway across the island. See the river ahead, and then it comes down, and that is an inlet. Yep, and Nootka Island is the name of the island that we'll see when we get down further. But look at the detail. There's some of that ice there, frozen lake, and then the snow on the mountains, and then you get this little depression down here with the snow. That looks so good. I mean, yeah, a little bit of stretching on the textures here, on the right there, but I mean, the rest of it looks incredible. So the area we're coming up to is the Wasp Lake Provincial Park. Hell of a place to go camping. A little bit more turbulence. You can see the Pacific off to the right there. And again, this we're coming up to this body of water here. That's not a lake. It is actually the Pacific Ocean. Hey, where'd you go?
I'm here. I just slowed down. I was getting very close.
Oh, there you are. You're over there. Okay. No, I was looking at the spot you were in, and I'm like, hey, he's gone.
No, I can see the logo on the tail, so I'm not
Yeah.
too close.
Well, yeah. So here is Tassis, or was it Tassis? How do you pronounce that? Tassis, the town at the top of the lake. We're going to make a left turn and go down this valley, but off the nose you can see the water that goes in there, and that's the next island out there. So that's the end of Vancouver Island, and that's that Nootka Island. It's pretty cool. So we're going to make a hard bit of a left turn here. We're going to head down this valley. See what we can see down here. We're going to basically follow this along till we get to the coastline. Some cool rock features here. Again, a little bit of snow on the peaks.
That waterfall there on the right.
I'm not sure. I can see that. I don't know. It looks like it could be. There's no trees. It looks something's cleared it out, and it goes down to that lake there.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be. Yeah, looking at satellite photo and I can't tell. But this road that we're flying over right now, I don't know how far down you are.
Yeah.
It's called the Tree to Sea Road. So it kind of leads from the trees here down to the sea. Kind of reminds me of the road on the mainland that they call it the Sea to Sky Highway. It goes from Vancouver up into the mountains at Squamish, BC. Climb up into the hills.
I just find it very surprising when we do these flights normally. You'll see little pockets, like little villages or just a few houses, but I've seen nothing.
Almost all of it's a coastal. There's very little that you'll find inland on the island. And again, these are all these little inlets here are all jagged parts of the Pacific along the island's coast. Sorry?
I can see your tail logo again, so I can slow down a bit.
Ah, you're pretty far away actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the little community down here, I can see a few buildings, and then looks like a dock. Probably some houses in here. You got a little fishing village type of place, but this is part of the Pacific, so this would channel all the way out to the Pacific. So, as you can see, how it goes out, and you got the Pacific Ocean right there.
Yeah.
great. Loving the views. Getting a little bit of turbulence. We'll go inside for a little bit. This is one thing I used to love about flying the small airplanes is you just sit and stare out the windows forever.
Love the way the sun is just reflecting off the side of the hills, mountains. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, a few bumps.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. It's absolutely brilliant the way they've done this. All right, so we're going to basically follow this little ridge line here, which is going to lead into a little inlet. And we'll follow that out, which will take us down to the coast. Well, technically we're sort of on the coast right now, but we'll get us across this little bit of hills and mountains. And yeah, she is rocking back and forth a bit. Joys of turbulence. Oh. A little bit of a freeze there for a second. This is the type of thing you'd have your camera out, you'd be taking pictures like crazy. So fantastic. There's that little waterway that we're going to follow ahead of us. Just remember my wind isn't up there. There we go. It's only a 5-knot wind. Not too bad. So we're going to follow this down through this valley over the inlet here, and then that's going to take us down to Flores Island. Oh, hello, Nick. You just kind of.
Where are you?
You just flew right in front of me. I'm right off.
Did I?
Yeah, look off to your left.
Oh, yep. Yep. Because I was looking at the views.
I know. I just looked up and saw you just cross right in front of me.
I'm flying from the outside.
Yeah, well, I was doing. That's what I've been doing too. So.
Awesome. Just going over to the lake with some snow and wow.
So we follow this little channel down here that I'm like pointing towards. And that'll take us to Flores Island. And then after that we're going to cross over Vargas Island. And then we're going to be getting ready to set up for our approach into the airport.
Time flies when you've got good views.
Oh, definitely. Again, this is a lake up here on the mountain, and then you got the Pacific Ocean Inlet down there. Trees, the snow on the peaks off in the distance. All the snow here. Looking awesome. So ground speed at the minute is 118 knots, so we're not doing too bad. That's about 118, 28, 130, 131 miles an hour. For you non-metric types. Be about 180, 185 kilometers an hour. There, I'll turn my strobe lights on. Maybe it'll help you see me now.
Okay. Shouldn't they have been on all the time?
I don't know what you're talking about. Of course they were.
No.
So this is the Sydney Inlet Provincial Park we're flying over now. So obviously this is Sydney Inlet below us. Of course, being a provincial park means a couple things. One, it's protected territory from development. Two, there is very little, if any, habitation here. And if there is habitation, it's what was there prior to it being made a park. And three, it is an area where you can do certain activities. So they may have, camping, hunting, fishing, exploring, whatever it is. It depends on the park, what they allow and what they don't. But this is a protected area, so there will not be any developments in here, which is good. As mentioned, there's the great wide Pacific Ocean out there. So coming up here in front of us, that landmass that you can see out there, the island here, that is Flores Island. And we are going to take Flores Island, we're going to turn over it, and we're going to head a little bit more easterly And that will take us over Vargas Island. And on the other side of Vargas Island is the town of Tofino, or Tofino. Again, one of coastal fishing village. Whoa! Turbulence is really getting bumpy here. So if you look at the way the wind is coming at us, it's coming over this ridge here, and this, as it bounces around, it's, you know, bouncing the plane around obviously as well. And the airport, I believe, is just past Tofino. Of course, Flores Island has a provincial park on it, called Flores Island Provincial Park. And Vargas Island has Vargas Island Provincial Park. Some of the names from the areas along here are named after the indigenous populations. We have flown over the Nakoktok area, the Coast Spring. I mentioned that Nootka Island, that was named after the Nootka tribe. The Clayoquot area, which is what we're over now, which is a kind of a well-known one. There's the Nesquite further south, and then the Chemicum tribes. Very distinctive artwork comes out of this area as well. Alright, so we're going to turn a little bit to the left and head towards Vargas Island now.
I can see your strobes.
You can see them or you can't?
Yep, I can see them now. Excellent.
Yeah, I got you back there. You can see the flatter islands once you get over this one. And the big one straight ahead of me now is Vargas Island. That's what we're heading for. And after that, we're going to hit the mainland. I'll point out Tofino, maybe do a circle above it, and then we'll head for the airport, which is just a further little bit along. Sorry, what were you saying, Nick?
Is that Tofino? Is that on an island as well? Or
No, Tofino Tofino is on the mainland. Well, it is on the mainland, but it's a peninsula type. It's kind of weird the way the waters work and the inlets and valleys and channels and stuff. But technically it's on the mainland, but you can almost consider it being on its own little island the way it is. But there's a mainland road that goes all the way to it. It's kind of like the end of the road.
Okay.
And in fact, as you come, I don't know how far you can see. Where are you? Oh, there you are. So you see off after this island, there's that flat one ahead of me.
Yeah.
That's Vargas Island, and then just beyond that, you'll see the little stretch of land. It looks a little bit like Italy, the boot, and it goes up.
Yep.
And the curve. That's at the very tip. At this end of it is where Tofino is.
Right.
So that leads all the way up, and it goes into the mainland. And there's a road that runs all the way down here and stops in Tofino. But we're gonna go. We'll circle over it. It's right at the kind of right at the end of that peninsula. Community down here on this island. Some great views. They're right on the Pacific as well. Can't quite see the Rockies from here, but they'd be looking into the mountains in the interior of Vancouver Island. That is the town of Ausat. Just passing by now. And then right below us is Gibson Marine Provincial Park. And a Marine Provincial Park is water-based, so you can't do any dredging or stuff in the area. It's preserved for the sea life. Vargas Island right ahead of us. So it looks like Tofino has 3 runways. So I'm going to try to pick let's see, what's the westerly one? So basically we're going to be like going straight in on a left downwind for the runway. That's most into the wind. Quickly take a look at the airport. Yeah, it'll be runway 25. It's a 5,000 foot runway. Kind of runs along the coast. Very rugged out here. Alright, and there you can see coming in at the end of the peninsula here, just off the left of the nose, is the town of Tofino. So the airport elevation is 80 feet, so 1,000-foot circuit altitude. So I'm going to start dropping down to about 2,000 feet now. He's back on the throttle a little because we're going to speeding up a little bit more than we're going to want to. There we go, and there's Tofino. So while we're descending, I'm going to circle around it so we can get a nice look at it. You get a lot of some of the larger places here. You can take float planes up from Victoria. So it's kind of a neat thing. Twin otters and stuff like that. From Victoria, and I think Vancouver as well. They fly up from there. Make out the airport off in the distance there. Again, just looking absolutely gorgeous. We'll come around a little bit. You talk about your beautiful remote living out here. Lots of boat docks. A little bit of hesitation as this stuff is loading in. Sure why there's not that much to load in.
You know what? It might be the updates because of the lack of that update that I told you about.
She's
I've got nothing.
Yeah, she's smoothed in now. It was while I was descending in, she just started stuttering, but she's smoothed out now.
I'm so happy right now. I've got none of that.
Excellent. Well, I'll take a look at that. And that was the Windows update you're talking about?
Yep. And of course I did the drivers as well today, so...
Yeah, I'll take a look at the drivers and then I'll take a look at that video. See if we can tweak things a little bit. So I'm at 3,400 now. Oh yeah, looking very cool. All right. So come off of the autopilot. Just look around. Nice fishing docks. I love these little communities like this. You know,
Yeah.
1,500, 2,000 people. Great views. Start my circle around. You see the airport further down the land there? Okay. So I'm going to start heading out, slightly out over the water so I can come in and join in the downwind. Keep my descent going. There's the airport coming in now, so I'll just fly along the coast here. I'm coming that way. So we're right down to about 1,000 feet. And as a reference point, I always use my heading indicator as a reference for the runway heading, so I'll set it to 250. Just so it gives me a rough idea of where I am in relation to it. So there's 2100. See the rocky edges of the shore there. They're looking fantastic. Heading down to 1,000 feet. Well, 1,100 feet, which will be the circuit altitude. Yeah, I know, but I'm not using you, so beep all you want. So we're going to fly down the coast, just off the coast, and then we'll make the left turn onto base, and then a left turn onto final. We're going to be landing along the runway that's running parallel to the coastline. It's 1,500 feet. Should be downwind, or 1,100 by downwind.
One interesting fact about this airport I've just noticed on Navigraph.
Go ahead.
So, parallel to runway 29 and stroke 11, there was a water landing strip.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, in the middle there, yeah. I wonder if it's there.
Yeah, be interesting.
You find out a lot, like if you go to Vancouver, like if you look at the charts for Vancouver out in Vancouver Harbor in the bays, it's got all the runways laid out for all the seaplanes.
Yeah.
And float planes. There's some water there. I can see it. Alright, so here's 1,100 feet coming in. Pull back. We're just going to level off. We'll get the power back up. We want to keep our speed reasonable until we start to slow down. Turn now, make sure we're properly running parallel. Alright, so we'll get the landing lights on.
You don't need to put your strobes on. They're already on.
Thank you. I am a little close. Yeah, I can see the water there. It's beside runway 29. It's not as full as it should be, but it's there. I'm going to angle out slightly. Alright, so here we go. speed back to 1500. We're going to pull back, hold altitude. Let the speed come down. Do a bit of a curving approach here. Below the white line, first layer of level of flaps go in. Speed still coming back. Trimming, holding altitude. We want to trim for 65 knots. Second section of flaps coming in. Alright, below 65, we're going to let the speed go down. Now turning onto our base leg. Get that trim up, 65 knots. I think we're going to be still going to be high. Maybe not. Let's get around. I'm kind of do a downwind to final. A little fast. Trim her back. Come off on the power a little bit. Should be starting to get the runway into sight. There she is. Straighten up. Still a little fast. Get that speed set. There we go. 65 knots is what we want coming down. So trim controls speed and throttle controls your pitch. So you use your throttle to increase and decrease your descent angle by adding and retracting power, and you make sure the airplane will always want to stay at that 65 knots. Still a little bit fast, a little bit more. Come back, we're high. Right back onto power. She'll increase the descent angle and then speed up 65 knots, and then she'll start to decrease descent angle to maintain that 65 knots. You can see she had 70, now she's coming back, 69, 68. Still a little high. A little bit of throttle. Don't want to touch down before the end of the runway, especially on a displaced threshold. And we are down. Alright, so we'll hit the brakes. We're going to turn off here on runway 29, and then we'll taxi over to the terminal. Let's see, we'll go this way? Yeah, we'll go this way. Make a hard right, bring it around, a little bit of power to get off the runway. Come on, you can do it. Alright, we're off at Taxiway Hotel. Alright, so flaps up, landing lights are off, taxi lights are on. This is the custom scenery downloaded from flightsim.to. I'm going to make a left turn here. I know there's a parking spot down here because I checked at the airport before we did this. I'm going to go down to the actual ramps that are here because I don't really want to park near these static airplanes. Flaps are all the way up. Strobes are off. Landing light is off. First we turn the transponder to standby at this point. And here's where we're going to park. In here, and there we go. So that was Vancouver Island. All So, fixtures off, mags are off, avionics, masters, all the lights are off. Logbook's open. Let's go outside. And looks like we gotta reset the camera. Oop. Oh, for some reason it's acting up now. Well, we've gone into that mode, have we? Okay, let's see if I can get out of this. I want reset position, and I want drone camera. There we go. That's not quite there. All right, let's see if we can see you, Nick. Where are you, Nick?
Just to your right.
Oh, there you are. Oh, did you land on 2-9?
Yeah, I think I made a mistake.
No air traffic control.
I saw the runway and I was like, ah, yeah, here we go.
I'll take
and
it.
Realized
It's our runway. I'll take it.
as soon as I saw the water, I was like, ah, hang on, this is the wrong one. Okay, yeah.
That's all good. So I hope you guys enjoyed our trip on Vancouver Island. Very scenic. Absolute blast to fly. And there's plenty more of these types of flights to come. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.